Well, tell you what, shot a FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. That's the Southern Riverband boys. I've seen some things, but some things really excite me in life, and this is one of them. Mark Redding's just pulling up out the front in a brand new car. Skeeter, things going well for you. What's happening? It's a new sponsor car, is it? Or
No. Thank you, William, for that introduction. Good to be here.
Mark Reddings is here.
I've purchased a Kia about a week or so ago.
You've purchased it?
Yeah, well, my deal ran out with Kia, and then I was at a point where I didn't have a car to drive if I didn't buy something or do something. So I bought a Kia, but
so you bought a brand new car.
I bought a brand new car, and that's a lot of people have to do that in life, Will, at some stage.
Weren't you speaking to some sponsors about maybe getting a sponsor car?
Yeah, well, at this stage we're getting pretty close. Frankie Agostino and the Fleet Network. So
Pay-wise, boys.
Yeah, so that looks hopefully to be emerging as a potential sort of marriage made in heaven.
But you've just bought one.
Yeah, that's very true. So I might have to sell one and then go and then I've got to employ a whole team of social content creators to give Fleet Network the love it deserves.
I'll tell you what.
And of course, you're a part of the Fleet Network family as well.
Yes, I am, Skeeter.
Look at us together. We're like two stepbrothers ending up in the same family.
Friends at Paywise. We might have to do a little collaboration, I think. Shelter and Paywise, match made in heaven. I'm looking forward to the amount of tax you've had to pay on a new purchase of a new vehicle as well.
Oh, mate. Anyway, I've been very lucky, and I do thank Kia, but also thank our friends at Fleet Network. What I did, my daughter said, what if you get an electric car? And I said, well, that's going to completely throw me.
You wouldn't know what to do.
Zero. I've got no idea. So they said you go into the shopping centre and charge it up.
You'd be putting diesel in
I'll be trying to get the extension cord out of the house to try and...
Oh, you wouldn't know where the extension cords are kept.
No, I'm no in that area of cars. I must admit, I've got very little idea.
Well, so what? So
technically,
cars, man around
electrical,
the house,
plumbing,
cooking.
Cooking. I'm not about 3 out of 10, but other stuff like
football,
fixing pool stuff.
Football,
probably not, according
punting.
To you. Punting, I reckon I go, okay, I'm going to be a professional punter one day, and you'll just be sitting back in my corporate box.
Absolutely.
Going giddy up.
Let's do that. Skeeter, a little bit to get through off the top here, other than your brand new cars you're rolling around in. Now, we've got another giveaway, of course, our good friends at Travel and Sports Australia. We've got one of our lucky listeners heading off to the Collingwood game. Probably today or tomorrow they head off with the team.
Tomorrow.
So they'll be flying out there. Well, we've got a brand new giveaway, a TASA giveaway, 2 tickets on the flight to Adelaide this time, Skeeter. I went to gather around. I've got to say, this would be the trip I'd be going on if I could go, mate. Adelaide's a beautiful city. It's got all the wineries and stuff like that. But in the city, mate.
It's easy to get around, isn't it?
There's venues. They're all close. They're right next to the Oval. So stay right in the city there and it'll be absolutely ripper. So West Coast play Adelaide on the 26th of May. So this flight will be on the 24th of May. Return charter airfares on the flight with the boys. And you'll get tickets to the game. Skeeter, we're going to need a code word today for people to enter on backchatstudios.com.au. I'm going to leave your mind to ponder what that might be.
Sure.
Okay, so thank you very much, Travel and Sports Australia. Stay tuned for the code word. Skeeter, tomorrow night, Freo Dockers are playing Sydney in a big game. It's a big clash.
Huge. Top of the table, Sydney.
Yep.
Fremantle going okay.
We've got 2 tickets to that one. I think it'll be a sellout Friday night footy. It's a little bit of a later start, just enough time to get a few more shelters into you, I think.
Undercover, perhaps, these tickets, because you might need it.
Rain, is it?
You haven't seen the forecast this week.
I drive around sometimes. I hear the weather being read out. No, I don't. I just wake up in the morning, Skeeter, roll out
oblivious
of bed.
And just go, okay. I'm just going to whack on whatever comes.
I mean, what are you wearing today? Is this your active wear, is it?
No, I've just done breakfast radio, so you don't dress up all that much when you do breakfast radio.
But why do you come in here in a suit every day?
Because I don't always go from here.
This is your active wear.
No, I go home from here today. Anyway,
are you
bottom
walking
line
home?
Is, I'm not walking home today. I'm going to go home and just ponder life.
Bottom line is these tickets are undercover.
Beautiful.
I didn't know it was raining, but thank you for that. Dockers, Sydney, 2 tickets to give away. To get those, you need to follow us on Instagram. Shelter FootyCast is our handle. And we're going to give a nice little post. That'll go up today. Tag a mate you want to take with you, and we'll pick one at random. So we've got 2 tickets to that game, Skeeter. So we're looking after the Freo fans.
Terrific. Dockers fans sorted, Eagles fans. And by the way,
yes.
The young person or the bloke, I'm presuming, going across to watch the Collingwood game on Sunday.
Do you? Yes.
No, it's exciting. It's just make sure you get your mum a Mother's Day present before you leave. You make sure that's. Did you know Mother's Day was on Sunday, or was it like the weather? You just got no
Alex
radar.
Just left for Bali with the kids and her mum, and I forgot to send her both like a Mother's Day present with her.
You reckon I'm a bit of an
Do you
umpty.
reckon I need to make a phone call?
I reckon you got to, mate. My brownie point levels can go very quickly. I can gain them in about 3 months, and in about 3 hours at a pub, I can certainly lose. No, I'd be getting onto that.
So we've got West Coast covered, we've got the Dockers covered, and for West Australian footy fans, we've got the Waffle covered. Skeeter, you will be hosting.
Me.
You will be hosting a live show at the Leederville Hotel, the Leederville Showdown preview between East Perth and Subiaco.
Yeah, co-tenants.
Captains of Hamish Brayshaw, Lee Kitchen. The captains of both sides will be there with you. We're going to rustle up a couple more guests, I think. There's a couple of ex-AFL players I can think of. Zach Clark playing for Subiaco, Mitch Croden.
Zach's retired, but yeah, he used to play for Subiaco. Yeah,
Is that right?
Yes. Greg Clark now plays for them, of course.
Maybe that's who I was thinking about.
Yeah. Well, Greg's captain now, so he'll definitely be there.
Is Greg captain as well?
Greg Clark is captain, yeah.
Well,
Lee Kitchen used to be the captain, but
this is why you're hosting this one, Skeeter. I can tell you that right now.
well, I know what the weather's doing. I know that Mother's Day coming up, and I know who plays for Subi and East Perth. What I would like to know is, last time I saw Hammer at the Leederville Hotel,
yes,
he was very vociferous with his.
Inebriated.
Yeah, was he pissed? Was he? Okay, he was up and about. So I'm happy to have him host the show and me just contribute because he was firing.
So Shelter FootyCast fans, you can come down. $10 a ticket. Shelter BackChat Ales will be on tap down there. The footy in the AFL starts at 5:30. Western Bulldogs v Sydney. So come down. We're just acquiring a handball target game, Skeeter. Well, like the one you used to roll out with Mouse at
we're going to say with Mouse promotions all over it.
So you used to come down and run a little handball clinic down at the supermarket, get your $20 from Mouse. You'd commentate kids handballing through.
He's going to be a check.
Yes.
And I have to go and bank that check.
People don't know what we're talking about.
And it'd bounce.
We'll have to get into that story a little bit later on. But we're taking a handball. I think Dan versus the people. I'm going to bring Dan down. You beat Dan in a handball comp, you get a free beer. Right, that'll be running from 5:30. So come down, grab a feed, watch some of the Waffle Stars jump up, have a chat with you, Mark Reddings. You'll know who they are at least. That's why I'm not hosting.
And you get a hands Dan. Yeah, there we go. Hand pass with Dan and have some fun.
You can grab your tickets at backchatstudios.com.au and we'll see you down there at the Leederville Hotel. That is on the date.
Thursday.
The
23rd or 24th of May.
23rd of May, I believe. No one's written it on my run sheet. So
in a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah, correct. Thursday, the 23rd of May. I think that's right. Make sure you sign up as a VIP as well. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, Shelter FootyCast. All right, I reckon we had the maximum amount of things we could promote off the top of their skate. So let's get into the footy, shall we? There's a bit going on this week. A few things that have caught my eye. I want to start with this one because there's a few little stories to tell on it. Premiership rings. Apparently, stories coming out of Melbourne that I don't know if Collingwood are pushing this or the AFL are pushing this, but we want to give premiership rings to every player on the list in a premiership year.
Yeah, well, it comes, again, we're following the American version. I think Maguire might have been in part behind this. But yeah, Collingwood, I think, has got a bit of a push on this, the AFL having a look at it. So let's use the example, I think, in the NBA.
Yep.
The rings are obviously quite noticeable. In the NFL, I think there's the case of that. I'm not sure with the NRL whether that happens, but you've won one. Would you rather have a premiership medallion or a ring to signify the success you had on grand final day?
So I've seen this one running around in Melbourne media, and a few guys that were pushing it are actually sent a photo to. I've got both, Skate. All the West Coast premiership players have got a ring.
Who supplied that?
We went and did our own. Yeah, so after the 2018 grand final.
Whose idea was that?
We got our medals. Oh, there's a few people running that.
Okay.
Oh, well, it wasn't the club because we didn't get any money from them. So we sort of were contacted by someone. I'm pretty sure it'll be the same people. They said, do you want to do it? And questionnaire went out, and so we've all got them. Yeah, so we've had them since 2018, Skater. So this is old news to us.
It is old news, but in all seriousness, a premiership medal is obviously kept in a safe place, you hope. And
yeah, I wear my ring a lot, and I'll wear it. I wear it sometimes just to like a little bit of an FU. Sometimes I might be, working on Fox Footy and I might be interviewing maybe a Collingwood player. No one knows I'm wearing it, but I'm wearing it. I know I've got it on. So I have to watch my fingers carefully when I'm working on TV, Skater.
Is it worth as much as my wedding ring? Because my wife's got a wedding ring that's worth probably about 8 to 10.
Is that right?
Okay, and I reckon that's worth. You have a look at that. What do you reckon that's worth?
That's that out of the Weddies box, is it?
Yeah,
no, that's pretty good.
You reckon it's probably worth about $50? And also, how much is your Premiership ring worth, do you think? And how much it cost?
I can't remember.
A few hundred?
It was $1,000? Yeah, maybe $1,000.
Okay. So are you for or against this replacing Premiership medallions?
I'm against replacing it. You got to have the Premiership medallion. You can't go to no Premiership medallions. But one of these things is they want it for all players on the list.
That's the bigger story.
Now, I may be one of the worst people to ask on this, given my sort of story to win one. I was out of the team. I came in late. Someone was injured for me. Brad Shepherd was injured for me to come back into that side. I was talking to Shep about it, and a few others that missed out. Of course, in 2018, Andrew Gaff missed out. Eric McKenzie missed out. And, Matt Brutus was there for a long time, missed out. Sam Butler, Bo Waters. The list goes on of blokes that contributed to that side. I think it's the 22 or 23 now that play on the day that get it, and that's how footy goes. That's where I've stood on it for a while. If I didn't play in that game and I got a Premiership ring, I wouldn't put it in the bin, but it certainly wouldn't be coming out at any stage. It would almost do the reverse for me. It wouldn't be something I'd like to remember.
I wish I could argue with you, but I 100% agree. And I think most people, it's like if you're not part of the team on the day, and there's so many examples of blokes who've just missed the cut or have been injured, haven't been able to get themselves up. Bob Murphy as a case in point going back to 2016, and when Luke Beveridge, I think, gave him the medal. But
what do you reckon Bob Murphy does with that medal?
No, totally. So I think what you're saying is right. I think it's more people outside want to see someone like, whether it was a Brad Shepherd, whether it was Will Schofield who missed out, to try and say, this, we still value you. But for the player themselves, I totally agree with you.
And they are valued. They're valued within the football club, but it's bad luck. It's just like doing an injury. It's terrible news seeing these guys do ACLs, but it's also a part of footy. We can't include everyone with everything all the time. It's like kids not keeping the score in footy these days. Like everyone can't win skate, and everyone can't have everything. And sometimes in life, you either get it or you don't. And I think a Premiership medal is one of those. And I'd like to finish on that. You did mention Luke Beveridge. It's probably a good little segue, Skeeter. He's under a lot of pressure at the moment.
Yeah, there's reports that he will lose his job if the Tigers roll the Bulldogs this weekend, which seems an extraordinary circumstance given, their form has been up and down. It hasn't been, put it this way, you look at what's happening at North Melbourne, we know they're at a different stage. We look at what's happened to the Eagles in the past year or so. Luke Beveridge is still, he's still in the past 5 or 6 years, just as Adam Simpson won a flag in 18, Luke won a flag in 16, took them to a grand final here in Perth.
Yeah, so when was that, 21?
21, yeah. Oh, so it's not that long ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so I think maybe is this just a case of the media, us or the footy landscape, wanting a coach to be under pressure, because outside of him, there's no one else under pressure. Not one other coach is under pressure to keep his job as we speak.
Which is strange, isn't it? And it seems like, so Amit Baines is the CEO over there. He seems pretty steadfast and strong. I got a couple of contacts to him through a couple of fingers and a couple of pies, Skeeter. He's from he's certainly been in AFL and run teams before St Kilda, but he's definitely from a business background. And from what I've heard, he speaks about the AFL landscape is so strange. He could run the business of the Western Bulldogs better than any club in the AFL, right? Sponsors on board, memberships sold, merch running out the door. But if they lose on the weekend, suddenly the whole business is thrown into turmoil. And from a business point of view, to him, that makes no sense. From a 1 week result or a three weeks of bad footy, and suddenly, the boss of one of his departments is, everyone wants his head, and everyone thinks, the Western Bulldogs are not going well. From a business perspective, I think he'd probably value keeping things set in stone a little bit, and let's just have some consistency and continuity. And you got to look past, especially in business, but in footy, more than 2 or 3 weeks of footy.
True. And look, it goes with the territory. You win a premiership, for instance, I think Collingwood, you make $2 million extra for the year off the back of that. The Eagles, having been and still being such a powerful club, even after 18, 19, COVID's a different...
They times their team score by 5 when they beat Freo in the Derby.
Yeah, so... but what we've seen in the past 12 to 18 months, they're still... Don't get me wrong, they're not in the bones of their backside, but the profit margins have been going down because of whether lesser crowds, whether the marketing department of merchandise is on the slide a bit. It's because no success.
Yeah, winning and losing.
Mate, it's the best form of currency in footy and in sport.
Last week it was Essendon and West Coast. It was a sellout. Neither of those, like West Coast isn't going well.
No.
Essendon starting to challenge a little bit, but it's not like it was a blockbuster clash, but they sell it out.
In part, because Essendon's going well, and because
They've been winning. They've been winning.
And Eagles have shown a little bit of a spike, and that's all fans want. They want to go to the footy with hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Hey, it's a big weekend coming up. All top 8 teams playing each other this round.
Very rare.
Sixth time in the top 8 era.
I think
Ever.
Swamp. I saw that with that stage.
Don't worry, I certainly didn't come up with it, Skeet. I didn't go back through the annals of history.
But it's a beauty. Like there's 4, and they're the 4 matchups that you look at and go, how much will this look into the future? Will we see whether it's Melbourne, Carlton tonight, whether it's the Giants and the Bombers.
Freo Sydney here.
Freo Sydney, huge. Yeah, it's so much to look forward to.
Before we get into the matchups, 20th licence been spoken about a little bit. There's Northern Territory. There's a few other options being thrown out, i.e. getting rid of North Melbourne, so you bring it back to 18, right? Down south, Busselton, right?
How many people have mentioned that?
The Busselton Stingers. Well, we're running it here a little bit on the Shelter FootyCast.
No, it's.
I think
it's not as crazy as you say it with a laugh, but it's not. It's not beyond the realms.
I don't say it with a laugh at all. They've got an airport in Busselton. They've got the resources down there. They've got the population. They've got the footy-loving state. So, in terms of looking at other areas, I think that's number one. For mine, I don't say that with a laugh at all. And it's far enough away from Perth to, create a new community of footy fans. You put it in Joondalup, it's just
30 minutes up the road.
Yeah, it's nothing. So if you're going to put one in Western Australia, that's where it's going to be. But the 20th AFL licence is a fair bit of work going into Northern Territory at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's the more likely, given the fact that Andrew Dimitri has put his hand up and he was so instrumental in getting...
So what? He isn't worth the AFL anymore.
No, but his record suggests that if he's putting his name to it, he was also part of getting the Giants off the ground, the Suns off the ground. So he's a former AFL CEO, so he has got some contact and support. Yeah, of course. Andrew McLeod, Nathan Buckley. I mean, there's 2 notable names. Now that's not going to get them across the line. I think it's going to be a 7 to 10 year project for them, given Tasmania where they sit. Is it the best option? It's got to be close to the best option in terms of, you mentioned the footy. Loving community up there. They just love their footy, and you know that. Have they got the infrastructure and the economy to support it? That they're questions that perhaps 50-50, not so sure. But ideally, if you've got the 20th licence, Northern Territory has to be in the discussion. I'm not saying they necessarily will be the venue, but they have to be in the discussion. Yeah,
Well, who do we get behind the Southwest Stingers then? If they're pulling out Demetrio, Buckley and McLeod, who do we need on board to get this over the line in WA? Because I'll be stuffed if I see a licence head to Northern Territory. Stuff them. No offence. But
what? So what? Okay, here's the question.
So you're a bit la-di-da with Demetrio, Buckley and McLeod. Who can we put into ours?
Yeah, you're part of the consortium, so you may as well
me.
One man. Who am I taking on? I'm saying you talk about have the Northern Territory got the economics? Have they got the social structure? Everything right to house an AFL club? I guess the same question will be asked of, say, Busselton. Has it got all the, and you mentioned it's got all the parameters, has it got the metrics to match up? They haven't been mentioned much in discussions.
So who do we need to put this on the agenda? That's what I'm asking.
Well,
you work for Channel 7.
Andrew Dillon would be the man who's
your boss? Stokesy?
Well, no, I don't work full-time for him. But
is he the boss of 7? Do we need to have a chat to Stokesy? 7 West?
If you think you can get the ear of Kerry, then...
Basil? Would Basil have anything to do with that? I mean, he's going into state politics now.
Basil's more concerned about...
This 6000 area? Perth postcode?
I think what Churchland's is probably he's more concerned, and then just taking over the world from there. So
adding another AFL licence, so maybe Basil's an option?
Possibly. Anyway, I think Northern Territory is advanced to what down south is at the moment, simply because they do have, they've got some names that you don't.
All right. So if we can get some names on board, I'd like to push this Southwest idea a little bit more. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shelter FootyCast. Skeeter, let's get into the games. Big match. Fremantle, Sydney, 6v1, Optus Stadium. Friday night footy. There'll be some haircuts going on down at Fremantle. As we speak, there'll be some fresh trims. We saw Lukey Ryan last week with a new rinse through the hair. Looked nice, by the way. Played pretty well because of it. This is a big matchup. This is the chance that Fremantle have to show, not only here in Perth, but the AFL world. All eyes are on this one. The first Friday night game will be wrapped up. Second half of this game, everyone will be watching. Are they the real deal or not?
Yeah, well, we'll answer that question. There's including, can they play wet weather footy, which they haven't been able to do in recent times, and I think it's going to be a bit of that tomorrow night. My info is that the Dockers not overly happy with the state of the ground either, just in recent times. Doesn't look good. I think that, whether that goes back to the wrestling or the Pink concert or Cole, I'm not sure, but there's obviously some concerns on that. But anyway, that's by the by. Fremantle, you're right. This is a test that coming off now. It's said quite openly, 5-day break. How significant, given that that's what's confronting the Dockers tomorrow night, coming off a 5-day break and travelling, how significant is that? I mean, when you think of trying to get players right, Sean Darcy didn't train yesterday with that sort of calf soreness. Will he play? They've got, I guess, to try and the week of this match before Sydney, they wouldn't train much at all, would they?
So Sean Darcy didn't train at all yesterday. So that's a big red flag. Although main training is usually 3 days out from a game, and because of a 5-day break, they would amalgamate main training with a captain's run type areas. So usually with a 6 or 7 day break, first day after the game's recovery, the next day you do some light training. You'd have like weights and stuff the next day, and then main training would be the next day. You'd have a day off, captain's run the day before a game, and then game day. With the 5-day break, you lose your day off, you lose some of the recovery period, and then you have to move main training into the smaller training. So I don't think he's definitely not playing, but it's certainly not a good sign he didn't run around with the rest of the team. But they could be managing what's going on there. Nat Fyfe will come back into the side. Sam Switkowski, there's some significant issues there with his concussion.
This is several weeks now.
What he's dealing with. So that's not a great sign. But the way that this game will go is going to be a big match-up in the midfield.
Huge, isn't it?
I think Sydney's probably got the most dynamic midfield in the competition with Goulden, with Warner, with Heaney. Right?
Heaney's Brownlow medal favourite. Does Parker play? That's the question.
I think
he's not a lock given what they're producing.
I think his leadership and probably his...
You'd have him there, wouldn't you?
What about Ado on the park of late? Would have him there if he gets up from, of course, the VFL. Whereas you put that up against Fremantle, and they've probably got the most balanced midfield in the competition with, Nat Fyfe, Bull, Hayden Young, Bull, but also attacking midfielder. You've got Andrew Brayshaw that can come in and play roles, and then you've got Sarong, the best clearance player in the game. So this is a midfield matchup. Make no mistake about it, and whoever wins that battle will win the game.
Absolutely. Just some stat-wise, Fremantle's average is 63 points against top 8 sides.
That's not good.
That's not good. That's ranked 17th in the competition. And in terms of continuity, this is always a good sign. Sydney's has had a total of 18 players feature in every match this season. And that's having continuity in your group, which is not the be-all and end-all, but it is. I think that's a sign of having a settled side. That's what they've been able to produce. So you're right. I think it's going to be a midfield matchup. This is one of the toughest games to pick all weekend, I'd have to say. And there's a chance that Michael Walters might even start as a sub. He's getting close. I think that's what JL's wanting to do, to try and make sure that Fyfe doesn't get too much overload. Walters in that same sort of 30-plus age bracket, they're looked after to some degree. So don't be surprised if if not this week, next week's on the vest.
Fremantle's defence is back to its very best. They're the number one ranked side in the competition from defence, and there's a lot of metrics to go into that. But scores against from turnover, the way they're defending inside 50 entries, they're all top 2, top 3 in the competition. So Fremantle can defend and they can hold up.
And counter.
Can they score, though? No.
Yeah, well...
Can they score?
But what we saw last week as well, I think it's got 27 points from defensive 50 change.
Richmond witches hats, mate.
Yeah.
You can't look at last week.
Yeah, well...
The way they played last week, it's irrelevant to this game for mine. Richmond were genuine witches hats. So, look, the question is, can they do it? I think they can. I'm picking them. I'm getting on Freo here. I think they could easily be coming into this game 7-1. And we'd be looking at first v second. And a lot of the metrics say that these two are some of the best sides in the competition. So Fremantle at home, a little bit wet. It suits their lack of ability to score, a little bit wet, and I think they'll defend just as well as they have been. I think they get it done against the top of the ladder. And that to me says Fremantle's a top 4 side.
Yep, no, fair enough. I've actually tipped Sydney, but it's a bit more on what we've seen from the Swans over the past. Well, I think they've had a game against Richmond was their low point, but no different to what the Eagles did to the Dockers.
5-day break.
5-day break
hurts
for who? Yeah, that's one. That sort of comes into my thinking a bit. And again, that's what I was asking you. The 5-day break, you've explained that. I'll tip Sydney, but hoping that Freo can keep the ball rolling.
Watch an act in the first couple of quarters is to watch if the umpires pay Jai Amos any free kicks off the footy or in contest, because if you had to pick any backline in the competition to come up against that likes to scrag and to hold and to not give a forward what they want, which is to run and jump at the footy without physicality, it's Sydney. Like, the way they defend, it hasn't changed in 15 years. This is the side that if you're going to get free kicks, it's probably going to be against this. It'll be lacking Tom McCartan. So Aaron Francis apparently has been in good form. He looks like a straight swap. Joel Hamling, their
he's a chance.
He's been playing forward line in the VFL though, so apparently there's some, maybe some questions whether he might not be the guy. I pick Freo, you pick Sydney. Remember, if you want to go to this game, we've got 2 tickets. They are going to be on Instagram. Watch for the post and tag them, mate, you want to take to the footy. And then tickets could be yours. Sydney are 5 and 3 at Optus over their last 8, Skeeter.
That's not bad. I remember the first game.
Is that right? I remember that too. I played on Buddy Frank.
Buddy kicked 8.
West Coast 15th, v Collingwood 9th. Marvel Stadium, Sunday afternoon game, this one, which is pretty grim. 11 o'clock, Sunday over in Melbourne. There's some changes for West Coast, and I looked at their injury list this morning, and it gave me a bit of the heebie-jeebies. There's a lot of people on it, and then they don't have great depth coming through at the moment.
No, well, I think Collingwood's got a pretty hefty injury list as well, but they've got greater depth, obviously. So you think of Mychek, Schultz, Elliott's in doubt, obviously, given the back injury that he's overcoming at the moment. I think McCreery, Mitchell, DeGoey. So it's not insignificant for the Magpies.
Yeah, but they've got depth. Yeah. That's the issue. Yo, Waterman, Long, they'll all miss.
Well, Yo and Waterman probably in your top 3 of the John Worsfold medal as we speak.
Great call. And Noah Long, a young up-and-comer. Good result.
Yeah.
It's not an ACL, but I will say PCL is not a good result.
No.
PCL is a long injury, and you've got to...
Season over?
You've got to cast your leg in a straight brace for 24 hours a day for a long period of time. Chris Maston had one sort of early in his career, and he said it's the worst injury he's ever had. It took a long time to come back, to regain the confidence in your body, to get the muscle definition back in your leg. It's not oh, thank God it's a PCL, but it's better than an ACL, but it'll still be a long road back for Noah Long. Ryan Marriage will come back into the side, guaranteed. He replaces Jake Waterman. Jaden Hunt, if fit, will come back in, and he probably replaces Elliot Yeo, and they maybe push I don't know, is it a Sheed inside?
Jimby gets that role.
Jimby a bit more inside. Although Jimby was good last week, so there's probably one spot up for grabs. I think it's between 2 guys.
We've had the campaign the last couple of weeks for him.
I think it's between 2, though. Clay Hall, I've been asking for it. Now, as you said, he may not have played his best game of footy on the weekend, but I know they want to play him. They rate him. They rated his preseason. They want him in the side. The other man, Andrew Gaff. I think it's between those 2 guys, given the people that have come out in Yo and Long, playing more sacrificial running roles. That's not what Clay Hall is. Clay Hall's an inside bull like Elliot Yeo. Noah Long, that spot, which I think is probably more up for grabs, I think Gaff's got to be in calculation to come back into the side.
I just don't, having seen him play against East Perth last weekend, I didn't see enough to suggest that he's just knocking down the door. Not saying you're suggesting he is, but because of the injuries, it's the next best option. Preferably if Clay Hall could get that gig, you're right, it's probably not going to fit the jigsaw puzzle for what the Eagles are looking for. But I did an interview with him as part of the 16s and 18s jumper presentation this week. Right. And he spoke really well. He's so excited for the chance to play his first game. If he does on Sunday, it's his birthday. So I said, mate, that'd be gold for him. But you're right, he's probably hasn't heard yet. So normally by now, if a debutante's got the gig, by now the clubs have sort of given the info. So yeah, you're probably right, probably not Clay Hall, but that hasn't been confirmed.
We're going to see if West Coast are serious about youth selection, if that is who they're picking between. If Gaff gets played over Hall, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. But also not just that. I think you mentioned about the position that has to be filled. So there's a bit of that as well.
That's what is important. You have certain structures around that you want to play, but in saying that, they look to have turned that page. They dropped Gaffy after round one, and they haven't looked like bringing him back in. No. And if the decision goes there, you've got to say they've got to pick Hall.
Yeah, and I would suspect, barring a spate of injuries and some good development from the younger players, that Andrew Gaff will be, I would hope, receiving a farewell match later in the year.
Farewell match, please. Mate.
No, you don't like that?
No,
I do.
Absolutely not.
I think a player of his stature,
what level of stature do you need to get to for a farewell game?
Oh,
genuine question.
I know you aggrieved about how you exited.
Genuine question.
No,
what's the level of stature?
He's played 270, so I think that falls into that category.
So how low do you go?
Well, he's in that category.
I'm asking you, how low do you go?
It depends on what the player's done for your footy club.
200 games in the Premiership. Do you get a send off for that?
I'm just saying.
I'm asking you.
But I've just said to you, I think he comes under that category.
So do I not?
Circumstance. No, I didn't say it. Look at it. This is like a counselling session of why.
I'm just wondering if I do or I don't.
Well, you probably did deserve one, but you didn't get one.
Exactly right. So everyone else can fuck right off. I can tell you that right now, Skeeter. Thank you. That's exactly right. Everyone else can go long.
No, that's your opinion. But I'm saying I hope, as just what I did with you, I like to see that sentimentality in footy, and I hope Gaffy gets, if that's the case, a farewell game later this year, because whatever you say about his last 2 years, he's been a star of that footy club, and I think it's great. If you're on the cusp of playing finals, you need your best team in, you probably don't play them, but they will not play finals, and that means I think you should reward a bloke for his service.
I half agree with you, Skeeter, but you can always get what you want.
Thanks, Mick.
All right, Thank you very much. Skeeter, Tyler Brockman, will he come back in?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. I was at Waffle on the weekend. I was told he's missing because of personal reasons. We since found out he was involved in a car accident in Geraldton. At a funeral, yeah.
Which is why he missed. He missed because of the car accident, I don't think.
No, you're probably right. But the car accident has come into play. So
why are they being silent about it? I've seen in a few social posts that West Coast aren't commenting on it.
But when they said they're supporting him and his mental health or what, it's whether it's the statement read as is, that's fine. Do I think he comes back in? He shapes as the player to come back in for Noah Long.
Yeah,
but whether that happens, I don't think there's a certainty. Put it that way.
Who are you picking?
Collingwood, yeah.
Collingwood for me as well. But those injuries you read out with Collingwood, that could be. Yeah. That could
just tighten that up a bit.
Okay, the line could just come in a little bit.
I think it's about 40 as we speak.
Carlton v Melbourne at the MCG this evening, Skeeter. Big game, massive game of footy this one. Love it. I love this matchup. I think both sides I don't think they're 1 and 2 in the comp. I've got Sydney and GWS at that. I know GWS didn't play too well last week, and I know you're going to say, what about Geelong? I have these two at somewhere between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
In the comp. But huge game. They play similar styles of football.
Yeah, and Melbourne's got the great matchups for the big boys in Curnow and Mackay and Lever and May. The midfields are both. And look, last year Carlton won both matches, and I remember distinctly driving to a function. It was before a final, and you were adamant that Melbourne were going to meet Carlton. I'd also tipped Melbourne. They wasted their forward 50 conversion and efficiency was horrendous. They lose that game by less than a kick.
They lose a final, wasn't one of them?
To Carlton, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that game.
That was during the year.
They played each other last year in the final, remember? And they got beaten by a kick. It was Blake Acres might have kicked the winning goal.
Yes.
So there's not much between the sides. I agree totally. The question mark for me is Melbourne coming off a 5-day break. Mind you, they're not travelling. And Carlton played the night before. Yeah, this is the toughest game almost of the round for me.
Carlton will get Mitch McGovern back into the side.
Jack Martin plays his first game for the year.
Jack Martin's a good player and really tough matchup. So if he's fit and ready, that's a big in for Carlton. Melbourne, they won't have too many changes.
Jack Bowie returns after being injured early in the season. He can play.
Yeah, they really rate him highly. So they'll have some selection issues, obviously, tonight to who's the sub and if he's sub or who comes in and plays, whatever happens. Look, Melbourne are moving the footy a lot differently this year. They're building up their play a lot. Remember on Monday I was speaking about why the game is looking how it is with the way that, one, how teams are defending, but two, how teams are moving the footy to help them defend. And so Melbourne have slowed down their ball movement. They had less inside 50s this year, but they're getting better bang for buck when they go inside 50 and they can defend behind it. So that's what Melbourne's doing. I'm not that impressed with Carlton's ball movement. They look like they win the contest, they kick it long, they hope for the best, and they get it inside 50. They're actually doing what Melbourne's been doing for the past few years. I would rather be Melbourne. I would rather take a bit more time, defend behind it. But there's going to be some great matchups. So, can Curnow and Mackay get on top of Lever and May? Who wins the midfield battle? Is it Cripps, Walsh, Hewitt, and co? Or is it Petrarca, Oliver, Viney and co? I mean, Max Gawn, does he get on top in the ruck or not? There's some ripping matchups. It's going to be a great game. Who do you have?
I've tipped Melbourne, but that's, Carlton's, but they had an average month. And I go back to that game against the Dockers, and I did say there's something about Carlton. I thought they were vulnerable against Adelaide. I'm with you. I just don't think they're playing great footy at the moment.
Melbourne for me.
Melbourne, I think, with Gawn able to, be dominant in the ruck, and their midfield probably, and their defence is so good, going the Demons.
That'll be Thursday night. Friday night, the first game before the Freo Sydney game. Geelong, Port Adelaide, 2nd v 7th this one. Down in Geelong. Never a good place to go down if you're an away side. And Geelong love playing down there. They lost their first game of the year last year, of course, against Melbourne. It was a bit of a dour affair. This game should be a bit different. I think it'll be a bit more open. But they played this ground so well. It doesn't matter who's out there. They're such an intriguing side, Geelong. Like that, I don't know. In this year, I reckon you'd struggle to name their 5 best players. Like some of the names you'd throw in there.
A younger and understated.
Holmes would be probably in there.
Absolutely. They've got
Guthrie's having a very good year. Like, people don't even know who that is.
Yeah, they've got. But what they do focus on tomorrow night is a bloke playing his 355th game, which equals the game's record of Joel Selwood. His name's Tom Hawkins. Hasn't kicked, 35 years of age, hasn't kicked a goal for a month.
And what do we say about Geelong and their milestone games? Their big milestone club.
Is this a milestone game? I suppose equaling the club record this year.
He's got photos with Joel and Jimmy Bartell's down there, and Nan Curvis is down there. Like all the
Brian
boys.
Peake's flown back. G. Ablett Senior's come out of hiding. Yeah, you're right.
And he sold all his stuff, Gaz. He sold his.
Yeah, I know.
Brownlow, not his Brownlows. His Norm Smiths.
But no, Tomahawk. I think. Yeah, you're right. I said you told me about 12 months ago. Don't discount Geelong when it's a big occasion. This is. Well, the occasion's big, but it's also significant for Tom to see whether he can, just break a bit of a rut. 4 weeks. You said last week he said he'd just go whooshka. But this week you get the feeling they might just be trying to get him into the game early.
So who's he going to be matched up on? I know the answer here.
You know the answer?
Yes.
We'll
just think about maybe someone he's connected to from last year.
Radaglia, you think?
He was a Geelong player.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think. Radaglia, Zerk Thatcher plays back.
Radaglia will get Hawkins.
Yeah.
Radaglia's come out and said he wants to spoil the party as well in the media. So I think, knowing Tom quite well, he will have trained a lot on Asava Radaglia. Smart footballer, Tom Hawkins. Really smart. And not saying Radaglia is not. He will know how to beat Asava Radaglia, whether it's getting him high and then taking him long out the back, whether it's wrestle, whether it's, all right, I can play him from behind, whatever it is, he will know his weakness because of the amount of training he's done on him. And I think that's a real dangerous sign for Port Adelaide. I think Tom Hawkins will kick 5 goals in his milestone game in Geelong, and Geelong wins this one, Skeeter. Yeah, I think I'm right this time.
I think you're right. I think Cats win it.
Rosie.
No Rosie. They've got a few injuries at the moment.
Aliir could be still out with concussion.
Yeah, that's big as well. So that being said, I think, and the Tomahawk, put it this way, he will score a goal this weekend. I think I think the drought will be broken. I've got him down for 4.
See, juicy little odds for maybe any-time goal scorer for Tom Hawkins. He hasn't kicked one in 4 weeks. Or would that be worse?
Oh, he'd be tightening up in the market. Okay. Down Geelong, I'll put it this way. Have they played in Geelong in the past 4 weeks?
Skate.
But put it this way. I think it's very rare that Tom Hawkins doesn't score a goal at the Cattery.
All right, very good.
Geelong.
Yep, nice. Hawthorn St Kilda, blockbuster down in Launceston. St Kilda's 14th on the ladder. They've been so disappointing this year.
Yeah.
Hawthorn have been as well, but maybe expectations are a little lower for them. They'll get back Luke Bruce and Chol probably. Chol, I did see listed on the injury report, though, with a wrist injury, so they may not get him back. Liam Henry's a chance to return for St Kilda after, of course, that hamstring. He was almost best on ground that game. He did his habby in. So
Ross wants him back.
So they've got Bradley Hill flying on one of the wings. They'll probably put Liam Henry on the other or high half forward and have them connecting up and down the ground.
They've been disappointing across the board. Max King's averaged, 1.4 goals a game. That's
kicked 7 in his last 5.
Yeah, it's been pretty shallow. So this is, speaking of what we saw from the Hawks last week against the Bulldogs, St Kilda's won 6 of its last 7 games against the Hawks. But Launceston's a different beast, isn't it?
Yeah.
John Newcombe, for instance, 28 disposals, averaging 7 tackles and 7.8 score involvements at the venue last year.
In Launceston.
So there's something about, you've played there, I'm sure. And
shocking place. It's a great town.
Yeah.
Shocking oval.
The ground's
arena.
fine, but it's just
windy.
It's a tough ground to master. So Hawks play it pretty well. I think St Kilda's a bit short for what I like in terms of as a price, right. But this is a real 50-50 game. I'll tip the Saints, but there's not a lot of confidence there.
I'll take Hawthorn. Thank you very much, Skeeter. I backed them last week. I'll back them again. If it was in Melbourne under the Dome, St Kilda win this one pretty easily.
Yeah.
They'll need Sicily to play. Look, he
Again.
dislocated his shoulder. He hurt his ankle. If he doesn't get up,
It makes it hard.
I'll have St Kilda.
Yep.
Is that all right?
No, I do. He's their most important player.
Okay. You're picking St Kilda?
Yep.
Essendon, GWS. This is the other big clash of the weekend. Essendon's really standing up, aren't they? This is at Marvel Stadium under the Dome. And GWS off a big loss against Sydney. A bit of a test for them in the Battle of the Bridge. They didn't get up. They did lose their best player last week in the first quarter, Tom Green. Rumours saying that he returns this week after being subbed out.
I think no.
I think definitely yes.
He plays.
If there's no ligament damage to an ankle, which they've come out and said, you jab it. It's just a pain thing with ankles. I say you can't jab a hammy or you can't jab a broken bone. If he hasn't broken a bone or ligaments, it's just the swelling. And if you jab it, you forget about your ankle and you play. I played a whole season with jabbed ankle. You can do it, no worries. So he'll play, Skate. I'll put it down right now. Stephen Cornelio is returning, GWS. Jai Caldwell need to get through a test. What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at, on Thursday night, we see the teams and, out T Green with an ankle and Schoey's pinned his whole reputation to...
my reputation.
Sam Draper's back, I think,
yes.
potentially.
Yes.
And Brad Scott spent more time talking about him and whether he's got a media ban or not, but he returns. How big a factor is it coming back from Perth to play back in Melbourne? Not too many people are giving the Bombers much of a chance in this one.
Well, they should be. Callum Brown's out. He makes... that's an important loss for them. Toby Green has been a little bit out of form, inconsistent, inaccurate.
The whole team has been a bit down, I reckon.
You know what I did say? Toby Green's he and his partner have just had his second child, I think.
Yeah.
That would affect... We don't often talk about that for blokes. I know we like to talk about that in the AFLW, given that they're giving birth and mothering the children. But there is a
fatigue factor?
I think there's a fatigue factor as a father. You're not just rolling. Well, you might have been scared. You're not just rolling around doing whatever you wanted. Yeah, there's certainly you put your hand up for a bit of help and you lose a bit of sleep.
Mate, I had twins, so anything you're talking about, double whatever you went through, and anyone else like Toby Green who's had one kid. I had 2 at once within 8 minutes. So I was tired.
And thank God Victoria was around because God knows that she carried the load there. I just think it's not something that ever gets brought up, And there's a lot of stress and different things that go on. Athletes are routine people, and you lose routine when there's a new baby in the house.
Paddy Cripps, has his form affected when his partner had a baby earlier this year? I'm not saying
I don't know.
No, I remember he did that one after he kicked the goal against the Dockers and whatever. So,
like anything, mate,
just get on with it. Just your job's your job.
You're not happy with they bringing this up?
No, I just think...
Get on with it,
I think
just get on with it.
As an
He's
excuse,
not complaining.
Well, you're saying it's a factor. I'm saying...
Get on with it.
Just come. It's a release. Trust me, getting out of the house and going away to work is a release for many.
Who do you have winning it then? Because, you're right. Not many people have... This is a home for Essendon. They're off the big trip from Perth, right?
Yeah.
The Perth teams do every second week.
As Brad Scott said, we've had 50% of our games interstate this year so far. Giants are a better side. They're not playing to that level. That's my concern, but I'm going to stick with GWS.
Okay, so they might not have played to that level last week. What about the week before?
Well, they beat Brisbane, and Brisbane have been after half time. Brisbane were pathetic. Brisbane were pathetic after half time.
You can beat who you can beat. That's what I'm ringing in.
Yeah, I'm just saying their form's not been.
No, they got beaten by Carlton the week before.
Carlton, so they got beaten by.
They beat St Kilda by a point.
Yeah, so their form, as I said, their form hasn't been up there. And you wanted to go and check your stats. I'm telling you, their form hasn't been, and they know that. They acknowledge that their form hasn't been what they would like.
You could be right.
You idiot. Who are you tipping?
I'm going to take GWS on the back of that.
Well, you've just said the best. Last week, you shamed me into tipping the Giants by saying they're the better team than Sydney, and I felt sometimes when you speak, it's almost like this is a fact, and I walk away like those Christian bloody evangelists where I think Schoey he's looked him in the eye, absolutely no threat. This could be a wrong statement, bullshit, and I'll look on Sunday and say, why do I follow Schoey? You just talked absolutely.
Why do you? Have you ever come in here and gone, geez, thanks, Schoey, for that advice? Ever? Never.
At the time I did, but then when I followed it, I went, half the time I'm going, he's got no idea. It'd be like me.
Richmond, Western Bulldogs. Jeez. The only thing interesting here is if Bevo's going to be under the pump or not. You'd think Western Bulldogs absolutely roll Richmond. They get Noah Bolter back into the side, which is a big in. Maybe Prestia, maybe Jack Graham, but to be honest, both of those players don't impact the game like a Noah Bolter would. Tom Liberatore will miss this week, and he's out indefinitely with concussion. 4 concussions in 6 months. That's terrible news. He's one of my favourite players in the AFL.
Yeah, he's massive. Good news for the Dogs that Jamari Eagle-Hagan has signed that new contract, so he's locked and loaded and right to go.
Surprised with that, or happy?
I think it was on the cards for a few weeks, maybe a month or two. Shea Bolton, my man, scoreless last week for the first time since 2022. With Dusty started well last week. But you're right. There should be no excuses for the Dogs, and that's why they're talking about Bevo's future if they don't get across the line here on the weekend. They're playing now. This game's at Marvel Stadium, I'm guessing.
Yes. MCG.
So, Richmond play a bit better there, but you can't tip Richmond.
No, they'll witch his hats last week.
As you said. So Bulldogs have to win. They have to win, with some conviction.
Richmond. Caleb.
That's good. That was very tidy.
Caleb Daniel, he has to come back in the side. I'm sorry. You can't lose to Hawthorn and not have him back in the side. And if you don't, Sam Draper is on the money. Couldn't have been more on the money with his statement on his podcast. And I did hear that maybe he was at a 4-week ban from his own podcast. That's a joke. Seriously. But we need to get with the times a little bit in this country with players in the media. He hasn't said anything personal. He hasn't said anything about his family. He said something that most of us are thinking, and he's probably right. Riley Sanders, he should come back in.
I think he's 27 touches or thereabouts in the VFL.
He should come back in. I mean, the amount Bevo was banging on about him, I reckon he puts his chips in on him and starts playing the kid and don't drop him again. I'm going to pick Western Bulldogs. Can't pick Richmond.
No.
Gold Coast, North Melbourne. So with the big matchups, or everyone in the top 8 playing each other, we got some shocking matchups. And this is about... I don't know if I can tell you a reason to watch this game. The Gold Coast Suns v North Melbourne in Darwin.
Oh, it's Darwin, is it?
Wow. Wowee. Slippery, hot, disgusting skills. You got 2 shit teams going head-to-head. I actually can't think of a reason to watch it. I couldn't tell you. Saturday night. Maybe you'll be on the beers.
Yeah, well, Vic's going on quiz night, so I might just have a punt and watch it.
How do you go on quiz nights?
Not great. I wouldn't say. No, I'll be honest. I'm sort of.
We went to quiz night Monday night. I thought we were pretty shit house, and I thought I think maybe Skeet would have some noise given his
bit
old
of music, bit of
his
sport.
Old.
No, well, just I actually read a book occasionally, Schoey. That might make.
What are you reading at the moment? You idiot! You absolute idiot.
No, I read a Wayne Bennett book actually. Yeah, that's. Probably not the same as history or the French Revolution or anything. But anyway, we digress. Yeah, I'm trying to find things that interest me in this game, and I haven't found anything. None. So I'll pick the Gold Coast Suns. They could play in Darwin. They could play in Detroit. They could play in Dunsborough. I'm not picking North
Melbourne. I'm going to pick him. I'm picking him.
Why are you being stupid? Now you're being this is your little moment of, I'm going to go out on a limb, be an idiot, and see if I can get some reaction.
I think North Melbourne can beat Gold Coast the way Gold Coast play away from home.
North Melbourne's playing away from home as well, you know.
Well, so in anyone's game, I'm picking North.
Okay.
Again, there's something it's the reason to watch it, right? Maybe there's going to be an upset.
No, you're right. You're 100% right.
Adelaide, Brisbane, 12th v 13th. Brisbane need to get on the move. They beat Gold Coast last week away from home. And they lost a lot of players, though. They've got 2 guys go down with the knee.
5 for the last 12 months.
No, that's alarm bells. You need to start looking at what's going on there.
Well, it's alarm bells for not only, the short term, but long term. I mean, that's, they're going to have to go to the mid-season draft and try and find some replenishments, don't they? I mean,
yeah, mate, their injury list is huge.
They're gone. I know you said they're going to make a run at the final.
I said they're winning their next 6 in a row last week.
Well, they can't win the flag.
I'm not saying they're going to win the flag. I'm saying they're going to win the next 6 in a row.
Okay. Well, I dispute that. But I to be fair to you, you said that before they lost
probably only
$3.
There's probably only four.
They can win it?
Yeah, can win it right
Yeah,
now.
probably right.
Who are they? Sydney,
Giants.
Geelong, Melbourne, Carlton.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
can Collingwood win?
Well, Collingwood can, but the ladder says that they've got a bit of work to do.
Adelaide, Brizzy. So, yeah, we know the injury situation there. Don't know too much about selection after the showdown for Adelaide, but they might keep a similar team into this one. It is an intriguing matchup. Adelaide Oval, both of these sides performing underneath expectations externally. I think people thought Adelaide would make the jump. I think Brisbane, people thought they'd be back there nearabouts. Adelaide, over the last few weeks, have been attacking a lot better. They've been moving the footy quicker, been taking the game on more. Brisbane, on the other hand, because of their injuries last week, they went into chip mark mode. Dane Zorko had about 57 touches and 30 marks, just chipping around the back line. So it's interesting sort of comparison between the two sides.
Yeah, and going back to the showdown, Crows pressure factor of 200, which is their highest of the year. So that was you could tell that was they were on from the get-go there. Mind you, they've lost 5 of their last 6 against Brisbane. Against the Lions. Only win came at the Adelaide Oval round 11 last year. I would have. This is a real venue place. I know Adelaide's been poor at home, but this game's at the Gabba. I still think Brisbane wins, but they just don't have the. I don't think they've got the manpower to go across and win. Yeah, look, they've got quality, but I think the Crows. Jay Saligo, terrific last week. Hopefully they've turned a corner. The Crows. You think of their last month, and it's been not too bad.
As I said last week, Skeeter, Adelaide. Excuse me. Brisbane will win the next 6 games in a row without doubt. So I'm picking Adelaide to win this one because Brisbane's injury list is just absolutely cooked. I can't pick them.
No, well, that's fair enough. Given the injuries, I mean, if they're fully fit, you're more than entitled to stick to what you thought. But and they'll probably go over there and win make us both look like peanuts. Yeah. But I would have thought Adelaide won't get a better chance to beat them this year.
Big in for this one, Skeeter. Brandon Starcevic is out with a calf, and the man with I think the most intriguing name in the AFL, Shadow Brain, will make his debut.
Shadow who?
Shadow Brain. Shadow Brain.
What's his first name?
Shadow.
As in Shadow?
No, they've gone a bit more creative with it than that, Skate. Don't be silly. Shadeeau. Shadow.
What nationality is him, do you know?
Oh, he's from Byron Bay, I believe.
Oh,
so imagine what was happening perhaps in the naming process.
A couple of mung bean territory.
His siblings Winter, Whisker, Whisper, Winter, Jock will be there. Brendan.
We had a presentation for the 16s and 18s of the WA state team, and there's the best name, I reckon, Where's Wally?
No.
It's Where's Wally?
No, it's not.
100%. WES Wally. I swear on my life.
That is
elite.
Absolutely brilliant. We need him drafted. We need him drafted.
You need to get him at some stage. Where's Wally? And I think, yeah, that's all legit.
Skeeter, before we sting out of this one, we need something from you. We need the tacit code word, the Travel and Sports Australia trip to Adelaide in a few weeks' time. If you want to get on the plane with the players, 2 tickets to the game, take yourself to Adelaide, you need to get onto backchatstudios.com.au and enter the code word that Mark Reddings has been cooking up all episode.
Yeah, and only because I've visited this place a couple of times. I'm going to go with Hindley Street.
How do you spell it?
Hindley Street.
Right.
Street.
I thought it was Hindley.
No, it's pretty sure it's Hindley.
Okay, Hindley Street. This is where all the establishments are?
Strip joints, basically.
You beauty. Hindley Street's the code word. If you want to come on the trip, the Travel and Sports Australia trip to Adelaide, that's in a few weeks' time. Enter Hindley Street at backchatstudios.com.au. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Sheldon FootyCast. Skeeter, just a couple of audience interactions for us. Hopefully there's some Sledges for Skeet. If you want to sign up and give them straight to Skeeter, you can sign up to be a VIP. You can get on the Schoey level, $10 a month, support the podcast, or you can get on the Skeeter level. You can get yourself a slab of beer every month, $70. If you like your shelters, you get that, plus discounts to all the events. You can sign up as a VIP at backchatstudios.com.au as well. Skeet on YouTube, Lux sends this one in. The issue with the game is and always will be, until fixed, holding the ball rule. If they drop it whilst being tackled, it should be ball every time. No questions asked. You must kick or hand pass the ball. Only time there should be a ball up is if it's a 50-50 hands-on like basketball.
Yeah, in theory, it's 100% right. But in practice, and you'd surely back me up to this, go, in a game of footy, you get the ball, you're tackled, and you don't get a hand pass. We're talking split second. Then we just have to get rid of prior. If you're going to do that, you have to get rid of prior opportunity, because in a game of footy, a split second, tackle, ball jars free, if we played every one of those, there'd be 115 free kicks in the game. Don't you agree?
Yeah. So,
but I know it's an issue. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So I always get confused with this one. I know I try to be an expert in everything I speak about, Skeet, and tell you I'm right. But I've had conversations about this holding the ball rule with lots of people. Sam Mitchell jumps off the page. He was a big proponent of fixing the holding the ball rule. But the thing I get confused with is, okay, what happens? Do we pay it more to... Does that disperse congestion if we pay holding the ball more, or does that create more? I genuinely don't know what it does, whether paying it more disperses it more, or if letting them go more disperses it more.
What I would see happening is that in a game of footy, and you can correct me, is that if players know that, okay, as soon as I tackle that player and he doesn't get a disposal away, it's holding the ball, you lose the instinct of players going for the ball, because if I know the ball's there, I'll wait for you to grab it, tackle you, and...
We don't want that.
Invariably. No, of course we don't. So what I have seen a few times is, which annoys me when it comes to the holding the ball or incorrect disposals, a player's tackled, he almost does a 360, almost a 720, then he tries to kick, doesn't get boot to ball, and it's play on. I think it's a tough game to officiate, and I know we don't want to be giving 80 free kicks a game, and I know that the players want to be given the opportunity to go for the footy. I don't think we're any closer to solving. That is our biggest issue with regards to confusion from spectators, players. It's the incorrect disposal rule.
Well, that one's off the back of our comments on the state of the game and where it was at and how it's looking, off the back of last round, low-scoring round. And this one as well, Hamburger. The stand rule and rule changes to speed the game up has turned it into this weird on-off sprint type of game. Teams tread water, chipping it around one half of the ground until a turnover, and then every player runs in the same direction to fill the other half of the ground. We replace the rolling maul with a rolling press. I don't mind that from Hamburger.
No, I think he summed it up pretty well. I'm presuming Hamburger's a he. Yep. But I and sitting at the ground, you get a really good perspective of exactly that happening. And it's not attractive. It's not attractive, Schoey. I know we see some really good games of footy, and I know 30 years ago there were some crap games as well, but, we are not watching. They're trying to speed the game up, have it higher scoring. I'm not sure they're achieving what they're aiming to do as it stands.
But my point is, I don't think it matters what you do with the rules.
Coaches will always manipulate.
Coaches want to win games of footy, and they know that stopping the other side from scoring is your best way to do it.
My
voice is going.
And nothing will change on that front.
Last one, Skeeter. On Bevo's position as a head coach. This is from China, the side you don't see. 8157. Okay? Just let me know.
Yeah.
Beveridge position is safe. Grand final win in 2016 and an appearance in 2021 with a 60% win rate. Schofield, you think you are a footy expert, but you are far from it. Love Skeeter, though. He is the only reason I listen. Maybe you should listen to him more yourself, you flog.
Wait, who's that?
This is from China, the other side you don't say. Call me Schofield.
Well,
gee, that's gone. That's a dagger straight. That's a dagger straight to the heart. No, you should be with him. Yeah. He's pumping your tyres up.
Oh, yeah, no, I like.
The only reason you're listening is because of you.
But I don't like my buddy, my comrade getting a clip along the way.
Skater, it's absolutely fine. China, go fuck yourself. I hope you enjoy listening to Skater. That's brilliant to hear. Will Schofield. Oh yeah, great. Yeah, great. I love when the music comes on. That's just a big wind up. No, put it on. It's like when the lights start flashing at the comedy show. Get him off.
Or the nightclub.
Skeeter, lots of things happening. Tastic giveaway, Freo tickets, waffle show, and you've got a new car.
Yes, I'll pay for it. But Fleet Network all the way with Frankie and the boys.
And shelter. Our friends.